Good morning all, my name is Comet and welcome to Just the Magic Monday. Your astrological forecast for the week of July 4th to July 11th, what is happening cosmically and how you can ground down this energy realistically, astrology for real life, your life, how to take advantage of the fantastic astrology, and how to mitigate the side effects of some of the more challenging astrology. I am here every single Monday morning, rain or shine. Tons of bad transits, tons of positive transits. I will be here to guide you through. And let's chat about this week. So the week starts off with two planets shifting out of their domiciles. And it's sort of this energy around a bit of a slowdown. Like Mercury is leaving Gemini and moving into Cancer, which really is a shift around thinking and processing all the things to really sort of slowing down, processing more so of the past, sort of seeing our world tinged through more of an emotional lens, kind of grounding down within our heart space what it is that we wish to nurture. And then Mars in Aries, who has been so feisty, so ferocious, so erratic. If you've noticed, people have just felt more testy or agitated or in a rush on the freeway or anything of that nature. The planet you're going to want to blame has been Mars in Aries, particularly as it perfected that square to Pluto last week. And this week it shifts into its detriment, the sign of Taurus. It doesn't enjoy that very much, as Mars is all about conflict and competition, and Taurus is more so about getting a nap and a snack and moving at a very slow and steady, languid pace. So both of these planets, Mercury was very fast mentally and Mars was very fast physically, like gotta go, gotta go, gotta go. And now both the planets are like, where are we going? Is this the right way? Can we enjoy the process? Can we sink down and feel safe in this particular moment? Can we plot our energy forward? So we have this interesting shift out of planets that were in their domicile, all revved up, operating as strong as possible, to there's a bit of a slowdown. And polarity-wise, with Mercury in Gemini and Mars in Aries, in astrology that's known as masculine or positive signs. I'm not saying that masculine energy is more positive and that feminine energy is negative, it's just what it's referred to. And now that it's moving into Earth and water, Taurus and Cancer, more and more of the cosmos are sort of sinking into these more feminine energies. And Earth and water is a little bit more receptive, it's a little bit more slow, it's a little bit more in flow. Not less powerful, but powerful in a different way. And so I'm gonna guide you through it, but before I do, let's take it into vibe check of the week. So this is essentially a thematic little cosmic picture that I paint you. Oh my gosh, I wish I was like Disney Channel and I could draw a little mouse, or I could draw a little star or something as we transition into this segment. But it's essentially when I paint a picture with my words around what the cosmos of the week ahead will feel like. So even if the terminology doesn't necessarily strike an emotional chord, you still kind of know what to expect. So this week's vibe check is a little silly, but I do feel like it does reflect the astrology very well. I want you to think of being a runner. Okay, you're a runner. You run around the neighborhood, you are trying to beat your mile time, and then I want you to just think one day that you're running and you're like, why don't I just walk? And before, when you were in your runner state of mind, you couldn't even contemplated walking. You're like, I've got things to do, I've got a mile time to beat, I have this really rigorous workout to get under my belt. What are you talking about walk? That feels like a waste of time. It's gonna add 30 minutes, I don't have time, I don't have time. But when you choose to slow down, you see the world a little bit differently and you're actually not bored at all. In fact, you observe a lot more. Because you're moving at a little bit of a slower pace, you're able to look up and see the birds. You're able to look around and see a fun tree and find some time to climb the tree because you're not trying to beat your mile time. You have a little bit more space in your mind because you're not so exhausted, pushing yourself to your own physical limits, that you have some space to dream, to envision what will be, what could be. You have more space to sort of just be bored and brilliant. Because oftentimes, especially just in the pace of daily reality, we just rush from one thing to one thing. We do one thing frantically and then the next thing frantically. And especially in this attention economy, many of us are very fearful of being bored. So that's why, we're constantly on social media and all the things. And it's not saying that there's anything wrong with that, but I encourage you this week with this shift to sort of slower, softer energies, see if you can try easy. You're still gonna get a nice workout if you just walk around your neighborhood rather than run. And in fact, you might actually open up some space for some new creative ideas as well as some revelations, because we have Saturn retrograde, we have Neptune retrograde, and now outer planets retrograde aren't earth-shattering. It's nothing too crazy, but whenever we see retrograde, I just want you to think of the prefix re. Review, recalibrate, reset. So I'll be giving more nuance and texture to this vibe check as we take it day by day. Just some quick disclaimers. One being there are timestamps below if you want to come back to a particular day. Two, I speak in PDT, that's the time zone that I utilize, so please make sure to adjust to your time zone before putting into your planner. And see, this is not a Shirley Temple. This is my favorite little, sorry, there's like lipstick on it. I don't know if you could see that. The downsides of filming while sipping a little bevy. So this is like my favorite little summer drink. It basically is just grenadine and sparkling water. So grenadine is like what is in a Shirley Temple, so I guess it is like a Shirley Temple, just like minus soda. And it's just so refreshing. Like around 3 p.m. every day now, I just start craving a little pink drink. And it's just so fun. I guess it's like kind of a mocktail, but it's just a fun way to spice up the sparkling water. And I recommend it. I don't know if that's called something. A sparkly Shirley, a Shirley sparkly, I don't know. We'll work on that. We'll workshop it. Anyone, I know some writers watch my YouTubes. Let me know if you can come up with a better name. But cheers, happy Monday. So Monday, July 4th is a Virgo moon Monday, and that Virgo moon sextiles the sun in Cancer, which is very nurturing. It's very sort of service oriented. It really wants to nurture our contacts, nurture our community, things of that nature, albeit in different ways. Maybe Cancer in a more receptive, emotional way, Virgo in a more practical, like if you are doing something to celebrate the holiday, like, oh, can I help you with that entree? Can I help you with that appetizer? And remember, just with the vibe check, like just try to go through, whether you're at work, try to go through your work slow and steady. If you have the day off, really take that time to relax. If you have some errands you want to get done, slow and steady. I highlight this so deeply because Mars is at the anaretic degree, the final degree, which does imbue the planet of urgency. And I just feel like Mars in Aries plus the Virgo moon squaring Venus in Gemini just gives us energy of feeling all over the place or feeling frantic, like we don't have enough time. We have to get all the things done. Like it kind of gives the vibe of almost Sunday scaries. So I'm curious if any of you had the day off around this energy around, I didn't do as much as I wanted to this weekend and now I have to finish all of these things and I have to go to this party and like, oh my gosh. Breathe, slow and steady. Try easy. Try easy. Like the Virgo moon does like to stay busy, but try not to get too mercurial about it, as the Virgo moon does square Venus and Gemini. Both Gemini and Virgo are both ruled by Mercury, the planet of thoughts and communication. So we can be really deeply within our mental space and just feel a little bit more frenetic and frantic and frazzled and all over the place, and forget to just ground down within the present moment. If you do have the day off, if you are doing something, just ground down. With the Virgo moon trining Uranus and Taurus, there can be a lot of opportunity and creativity and enjoyment if we are anchoring into what is, rather than rushing, oh my gosh, I have to make it to the next barbecue, I have to handle these errands. Try easy, go slow and steady. And then depending on if you are on the West Coast or on the East Coast, Mercury enters Cancer and Mars enters Taurus either Monday evening or early Tuesday morning. So depends on you based on where you are. And with this shift, I talked deeply about this at the beginning of the video, but I want to sort of spotlight each of these and where we'll feel this. Mars enters Taurus at 11:04 p.m. PDT, and Mars in Taurus is not comfy cozy. Keep in mind, Taurus is comfy cozy, but Mars doesn't particularly enjoy being in the terrain of Taurus because Taurus is a bit too intentional for Mars. It's a bit too slow. It's a bit too steady. With Mars and Taurus, it is a slowdown, and it is being a little bit wiser about what it is and where it is we're expending our energy. Because I really appreciate this about Taurus energy is that unlike the other earth signs, Virgo and Capricorn, like Virgo and Capricorn will burn themselves out. Spoken from a double Virgos, Capricorns in the comments. Let's hear you guys out. Like if they are devoted to something like it's harder for them to have boundaries with it because they have such high standards. And Taurus does as well. It's not that Virgos and Capricorns are more successful or ambitious than them, just Taurus is very smart about how and where it is that they expend their energy. Like Taurus is very much, when I'm at work, I'm 100% there, and when I'm off, do not call me, beat me, don't even want to reach me because I am off. Like they work hard towards what it is that they want, but they also rest hard, and they also don't commit to anything that they don't see longevity in, or they don't see getting a return on the investment of their time. Like as fixed Earth, they are intentional and they are dedicated to where it is and what it is they put their energy into. So with Mars and Taurus, it sort of speaks to the slowdown around, I've been burning myself out running all around town, and then I'm just like exhausted for the rest of the day. With Mars and Taurus, let's be smarter about how it is that I expend my energy. Maybe if I'm just walking 5 miles rather than running 5 miles, I have a little bit more space to be able to cook a meal, have a really good conversation with my loved one, have other space in my life. And so with Mars and Taurus, there is this shift around being a bit more intentional about what it is that we are expending our energy into and putting into things that we genuinely do value. And with Mars and Taurus, we can be more stubborn. We can find we feel a little bit more lazy, quote unquote. We crave a little bit more rest. But again, try not to demonize those emotions or what it is that comes to the surface for you. And yes, with Mars and Taurus, we can be a little bit more lazy, quote unquote. We can be a little bit slower. It might be harder to get out of bed, harder to be doing all the things. But I would just really ask yourself, am I lazy, or am I just burnt out trying to do all of the things? Am I lazy, or do I just genuinely need rest right now? Am I lazy, or am I just trying to enjoy other things that I value outside of just the value that I present to the economy? And yes, with Mars and Taurus, we could find that, naps are hitting a little bit harder. With Mars and Taurus, let's reframe it. You are not lazy. You are simply intentional with your energy, with what you invested in, and how it is that you structure your life. You do not need to fill out every single thing. Just because you have a free hour so you can take on this task for your client, you could take on this task and help this particular person. Really consider, okay, am I giving myself ample space to recuperate from all of the tasks? Maybe I'm just talking like an introvert, but every time after any sort of meeting or consultation, even though I love it so much, I light up, it is my passion, I still need a moment to just be okay, let me recuperate. So sometimes we can judge ourselves for those moments that we need, just that moment to take a breath and to just reset before the next task, but we're not apologizing that. With Mars entering Taurus, we are not apologizing for wanting and craving and deserving that beat. So with the planet of communication, Mercury, and thought processes entering Cancer, it joins the sun also in the Cancer portion of the sky. And Cancer has to do with the past, has to do with nostalgia, has to do with being sentimental. And with Mercury in Cancer, we can find that we are thinking more about how things were prior. We can also think more so from our heart space, more so from an emotional level. We can communicate our emotions more easily, and it could be really hard for us to find separation between, okay, this is how I feel and this is what I think about the situation. It could be harder for us to be sort of logical or have that element or that degree of sort of separation from the matter. It just feels intertwined, and that's not a bad thing. I would even encourage just with the vibe check, that slow down to a walk, whether you think about it physically on a walk or just slowing down from having all of these jobs, doing all of these things to sort of a slower way of life, you see things a little bit differently, right? And suddenly those emotions that you were able to drown out when you were so busy or you were so running that you were just exhausted and you couldn't deal with it, sometimes that starts to come to the surface, right? And with Mercury in Cancer, it can be harder for us to sort of mentally consider our life without considering the emotional tonalities. It's our emotions are speaking to us louder and louder with so much of the cosmos entering Cancer. Now, I do want to bring in a focus because I don't like limiting any sign just to one thing. Cancers are so much more than just being emotional, right? It is very shrewd, it is very strategic, but it sort of operates and sees the world with Mercury in Cancer through this lens around being a little bit more responsive. As Cancer is ruled by the moon doesn't have a light source of itself. It simply reflects the light of the sun. So with Mercury in Cancer, we could just respond more so to our environment, respond more so emotionally, just be mindful. When Mercury enters a cardinal sign, we can be a little bit more impulsive or wanting to act with our language, particularly since it does sextile Mars the next day. So that's just something important to be mindful of. And then with both these planets new in their new domain, they do make a nice little sextile. And do keep in mind, sextiles are supportive flows of energy. Here it's linking our communication with our action. So there tends to be a bite or a zestiness with Mercury sextile Mars. We can really speak very powerfully. We can speak in a very motivating language. Maybe you can use this to motivate yourself internally if you're like beating yourself up with the Virgo moon, like you're not doing enough, you're not being enough. This is like energy where it's like, no, I'm doing great and I'm gonna do what it is that I need to do in a slow, languid pace. I'm not gonna feel bad about it. Or maybe you harness this Mercury Mars where like your boss asks you to do something and you say, I don't have the bandwidth this week, but potentially we could block off my calendar in a month from now because you put so much on my plate. No, maybe don't say that. But basically this energy where we're seeing things from a different kind of perspective, this slower, softer, more receptive energy with these planets shifting into earth and water signs. And with that, there's this power in being able to enact, okay, this is what it is that I value and this is what it is that I don't value, and being able to stand by those boundaries, by those assertions, or by that motivating factor. On Tuesday, the 5th, the Virgo moon opposes Neptune. I'm curious people are going back to work on Tuesday because this is sleepy. This is like, I don't want to get out of bed. The week came too soon. Can we go back to the weekend? It's very challenging to get out of bed when we have a moon opposition to Neptune. It just feels so snuggly, but please get up because we do have a long void moon during the day. So if you do have things that you want to get done that you're like beating yourself up about not doing prior, again, no need to have this pressure on yourself that you gotta run and do all the things, but just remind yourself, okay, these are my top priorities today, and I have them within my mind. Let me just slowly and steadily set out to do these. I'm gonna be in tune with myself, I'm gonna be in flow with myself, I'm not gonna burn myself out, and I'm gonna make it happen. But even in this slower lifestyle, sometimes we need to get out of bed. You could get out of bed slowly, but we do need to get out of bed. And then the Virgo moon also trines Pluto and Capricorn, so it'll be more in the flow of things about midday. And then the moon's void at 11:04 until it enters Libra at 3:25, which draws our awareness to balance, to harmony, to our one-to-one contacts. Moon now in Libra, we're a little bit more inclined for balance. Now we don't have the Virgo moon barking at us saying, you still have to keep up with everything. Like now with the Libra moon, we're like, we do need to find balance. What's the saying? All work and no play makes Jim a lame boy. Is that really the phrase? Who's Jim? Guys, I'm probably butchering that phrase, but apparently it does make Jim a lame boy. I don't know if it makes all of us lame. But anyways, with the Libra moon, let's find some balance. Let's find our balance. Let's look at our world and say, okay, am I spending too much time on my own? Do I need to balance it off with some time around some loved ones? Am I spending too much time working? Do I need to balance it off with this? Am I spending too much time on my side hustle and not something that's generally just creative and fun? Let's find some balance, okay? And then the Libra moon does square Mercury in Cancer. So with that, not a great time to have a conversation. The Libra moon doesn't necessarily want to dive into the ugly rawness. They just want to keep the peace. And with Mercury in Cancer, we could just be seeing things through a little bit more so of an emotional lens, which might not always be rational. So we could just feel like we're a little bit sensitive, particularly when we're intimate contacts. So just something to look out for Tuesday evening. So just expect on Tuesday, we could just be a little bit more sensy, particularly when it comes to our one-to-one connections. As well as for anyone who's going through a breakup or went through one recently, this would be a day, you know those phone boxes? Get a phone box. If there is any temptation within your world of texting your ex, do not let this sentimental Mercury in Cancer, this Libra moon, which wants connection and partnership, do not let it win. Do not let it tell you that you need to text your ex. You do not need to text your ex. Hide your phone. It is not necessary. Tuesday is just a day to guard against that. watch a rom-com, cry if you need to, do something nurturing, but do not reach out to someone who is in the past. That's the downside of all this Cancer energies. We can be romanticizing the past a little too much. Maybe on that walk, you know, having a little bit too much space within our brain to be like, oh, I wonder what they're doing. And again, we can feel those emotions. We can allow ourselves to really sit in, okay, I'm lonely and I don't need to run from this feeling of being lonely. I'm just gonna feel it, and like a cloud, I'm just gonna let it float by. I'm just gonna hold the space to take in this emotion, but I'm gonna release it. And I'm not gonna run from my phone. I'm not gonna text my ex. And on the note of exes, okay, listen. Just one more thing on the ex combo. On Wednesday, Venus in Gemini does sextile Chiron in Aries. We have some Chiron stuff coming up this week because the sun also squares Chiron a little later. Okay, so Chiron is the wounded healer. It's essentially where it is that we've wounded. And with it making this harmonious sextile to Venus, this can be a week that we are able to make peace with something that has transpired from the past romantically, or where it is we have accepted less than our value, not seen our true value, been hard on ourselves in terms of our sense of beauty within this world. And with Venus sextile Chiron, it is this healing energy around really being able to sit within your own value. Like I said, when you're in this rush, sometimes you can forget. Like if you're rushing, working so hard at a job where you feel severely undervalued, like taking a moment to slow down is almost like dangerous in a sense, because then you're like, wait, why was I accepting people to treat me like this? Why was I accepting like this pay rate when I'm doing the job of 3 people's? Like I hold a stronger value for myself. And with Venus sextile Chiron, it's bringing that to the surface. Now, romantically, it can be a time to find closure. I would recommend finding closure within your own self if it's possible, of course. I'm not forbidding you if you do need to reach out to someone to find that closure. I'm just saying, Mercury and Cancer, we're not seeing the past clearly, okay? We are not seeing the past clearly, but with Venus sextile Chiron, it can be an energy where we're able to move forward, really sitting within the value that we bring, really making peace with our romantic past, and looking forward to our romantic future. And on Wednesday the 6th, we also have our first quarter moon. So this is the check-in point to your Cancer new moon intentions. And it really is this check-in point. Like I've said, you know, the first quarter is this energy around crisis, is this energy around urgency, or sort of around having to put our money where our mouth is, energetically speaking. Like with Cancer new moon is all about feeling into what is right for you and where it is that you want to sort of guide your life, what direction you want to guide your life into. And with this crisis point in Libra, it's almost like, okay, do I feel like my life is balanced enough to be able to encourage this new heartfelt new vibration? Do I feel like the loved ones within my life are going to support me anchoring in this heartfelt new intention? And first quarter moons are sort of a moon phase that are about meeting and surmounting challenges. So if something comes up, rather than feeling like you need to give up, use it as an opportunity to rise above it. Like, you know, we think of softness as weakness, but softness is strength. And sometimes we have to be hard to protect our softness in terms of having boundaries in order to sink into moments where we're really just able to be in our heart space and move really slow. Like that runner saying, no, I can't hang out because I need to go on this 2-hour walk where I can like just look at the world and open my heart. Like sometimes we do need to take action in order to protect the more softer parts of our being, and it just feels like a check-in around that. And then the Libra moon opposes Chiron and trines Venus. So again, there's a lot of romantic vibes in the air, and I just don't want you to feel this romantic energy and feel this urgency energy and go back to someone of the past. Like again, the best connections, the best part of your future is ahead of you. Just keep going. Like during Cancer season, you can reflect, you can clean out the memento box, you can look at the love letters from your ex if it helps you in your journey forward. You can do these things, you can hold your past in appreciation, but just know that the best is yet to come, love, okay? There's a lot of romantic energy on Wednesday. I'm like, okay, maybe let's watch a rom-com, maybe let's channel that romantic energy in a different way if you are someone who is, you know, healing or recovering or anything of that nature. Thursday the 7th is a great day to practically handle what it is that you need to take on. The Libra moon just gets a trine to Saturn Aquarius, great for any meetings, great for working together. We're in the mood for win-win. We're like, the Libra moon is like, why don't we all win? We're at a meeting, it's like, what would be fair for everybody at this table? So it is a great day to schedule those meetings, to really be open to working with other people. Like I said, with Mars out of Aries, you know, if you felt like people are a little testy, we're gonna feel that energy sort of die down. And particularly on Thursday, we're really in the mood for win-win, as well as decisions that are gonna guide our pathway forward. So great for any one-to-ones, any meetings. If you're any legal stuff and need to schedule a meeting with your lawyer, this would be kind of nice, because we're seeing situations logically. Thank you to Saturn and Aquarius, and we're seeing it, and we're able to sort of work with others in order to find a fair resolution. Thank you, Libra Moon. So for any chance anyone here needs to schedule a meeting with their lawyer this week, that would be great, or anything really that has to do with planning, longevity, great day for that. And I would really lean into that morning, particularly, so I don't want to bore you in this video. I might do a whole other video if anyone would be interested, but in terms of election charts, which is basically like the perfect time to do something, you'll want to look at basically like little pathways of time in between moon aspects. So for example, if the moon makes a harmonious aspect to one planet, and it makes a harmonious aspect to another planet, the time in between is helpful. So that morning is really helpful because the moon is leaving a trine with Venus and building to a trine with Saturn, which again, with the trine to Saturn is more about responsibility, longevity, so on and so forth. So it's not the perfect election for everything, but it would be helpful for the situations I detailed. And that's more so in the morning, because then after that moon trine Saturn exacts around noon, then the moon's now building to square with Pluto. Again, we can still work with that Saturn energy, but just be mindful, Pluto's creeping in. You'll know Pluto's creeping in because all of a sudden you are knee deep in someone's Instagram comparing your whole life to them. Like being like, why do I not have offerings or a business or a career or a relationship like this person? Like I've just noticed a really hallmark part of Pluto is like almost jealousy and obsession. And particularly with this Libra moon squaring Pluto, just be mindful against that. Like, just go for a walk, just clear some space. And then the moon enters Scorpio at 10:15 that evening, early Friday morning if you are on the East Coast. So Friday, I will say, while the real agitation is sort of done with, Friday is a little tense, okay? We've got a Scorpio moon, which is plunging us deep into our emotions around what it is that we feel under the surface, getting to the root of the situation. And that moon, Scorpio moon, is answering to the Mars in Taurus, which again is unhappy. Its ruler is unhappy because Mars doesn't like being in Taurus. Taurus is all about luxury and enjoyment, and Mars is about doing stuff. So again, we can lean into this energy constructively by allowing ourselves these really languid, delicious moments, but Mars would much prefer being elsewhere, okay? So Mars is grumpy, the Scorpio moon's grumpy because it's answering to it, and then they show it out and they oppose one another. So we can be more testy, we can be more knee-jerk, again, because we're kind of off of that. The moon was squaring Pluto. Just be mindful around being jealous as well as being reactive when it comes to your own wounds. This is the day that the sun squares Chiron. Sorry if the angle changed slightly, the card was full, but Friday feels a little bit intense, particularly emotionally. It's certainly emotions that can be worked through, and it certainly can be helpful and illuminating, but it's really important we allow ourselves the space to feel what's coming to the surface in totality and then gently let it go. When it's ready to go, right? I forget where I heard this, but I remember someone was sharing about when the emotion comes out, like just sit down, drink a tea with it, and eventually it will leave. It's when we fight it and we're just like, nope, don't want to deal with it, that it really gets comfy and it overstays its welcome and it's not paying rent, right? If we just allow ourselves to really sit with that emotion, really ask it questions, where did you come from? Hey, what are you doing here? Then it gets the hit when you've said that you have an early morning the next day, and then it's like, okay, I'm actually gonna leave now. Thank you for talking with me. I just wanted some attention. Like emotions are like that too. And with the moon in Scorpio, it's really plunging us into our deepest sort of rawness. And there's practical energies to work through, and it does feel more optimistic as we get closer and closer to Mercury squaring Jupiter. But I just want you to feel what comes to the surface because the sun squares Chiron on the same day. And like I said, with all the Cancer energy, I'm just saying it is this energy around the past, around nostalgia. Really would be a great day to have a heartfelt chat with a friend or someone that you just feel safe with. Write a handwritten letter, do something sweet, do something sentimental with the Scorpio moon trine Mercury in Cancer. Scorpio goes deep in everything that they do. I was chatting with my friend Olivia the other day, and we were talking about how like people who support your work and your art, like obviously everybody's valuable and you appreciate everybody, but It's even more special when you have a Scorpio who is a fan of your work or your comedy or whatever it is, because Scorpios go hard with what it is that they care about. Like, they don't do things lukewarm. And particularly Olivia, she was one of the first people to ever listen to Magic Monday. Truly, like, she listened to Magic Monday when I used to do them over on IGTV, and I'm pretty sure only like 2 or 3 people would listen, and she was one of them. So if you enjoy Magic Monday, truly thank Olivia, because having those people who watch it and get value out of it, like, it keeps you motivated to keep doing it. So thank you, Olivia. So if you appreciate Magic Monday, sure, you can thank me, but really you should just thank Olivia. So while there's some emotions, you know, the Scorpio moon's not too happy. Its ruler is displeased. It's displeased because both Mars and Taurus and the Scorpio moon are in territories they despise. So they're just like, I hate it here, and now we're beefing with one another. So there does feel to be some volatility, some annoyances, and some pangs coming up. But it does feel like things that we can work through with the Scorpio moon trining Cancer, Mercury around 10 a.m. And then that evening we build to Mercury and Cancer squaring Jupiter and Aries, which is making us, yes, more confident, more optimistic. And I really dare you to think, what if everything worked out beautifully? Like, I dare you to go for a walk and think, what if it all worked out? And yes, this is the time to be delirious. Like with Mercury square Jupiter, like, it's not the time to necessarily buy what people are selling you with Mercury square Jupiter. This could be a little braggadocious kind of meetup, but it is the time to hype yourself up. If like that Mercury square Chiron, you're feeling insecure, like with Mercury square Jupiter, just be like, what would it look like if I wholeheartedly believe in myself? Guys, I'm reading this book that is blowing my mind. It is really shaking me up. I'm gonna put the cover right here because I can't remember the exact title. I wanna say it's like The Secret of Successful Women, a story of imposter syndrome or something of the nature. But it's all about how imposter syndrome can get in our own way in terms of just never feeling valid or feeling like, oh, they're gonna find out. They're gonna find out that I'm not good enough. Like this next accomplishment, like at the next one, they're gonna find out that I have no right to be here. They're gonna find out, like there's this feeling around people are gonna find out that I'm not as good as I am. Whereas you were that good the entire time. There's just this energy or this anxiety around, I can't possibly be deserving of all this success. Me? It is blowing my mind. And just in the spirit of that, because again, this isn't like a book review YouTube, but in the spirit of that, with Mercury square Jupiter, if you are someone who struggles with imposter syndrome, like I want you to be a little delusional. Like there are so many people out there, they get their ideas, they get their companies funded, they get their ideas ran, they get all these things because they do have a little bit of delusional confidence. You do need it sometimes. And again, you don't need to burn yourself out, but this is a helpful energy around building yourself up, hyping yourself up, acting like when you walk in that room, even if you're like, I don't know if I should be here, these people are so much cooler and more stylish than me, just be like, I absolutely deserve to be here. I absolutely deserve this opportunity. Why wouldn't they pick me? Like, even if that's not an energy that feels comfortable for you, I would encourage you with Mercury, Jupiter. I will say some people can go extra with this. Okay, so again, people can brag, people can talk a lot about themselves, but it is a time to be a little bit delusional. On Saturday the 9th, we have the Scorpio moon trining the Cancer sun. Again, we're building to next week's Capricorn full moons. Make sure to tune in for more info on that. Scorpio moon is a little unhappy. It opposes Uranus, so it's feeling restless, but it's feeling limited by its square to Saturn. Guys, why have we been having all these Saturn aspects on Saturday? I'm over it. I'm sincerely over it. The evening feels really nice, but the morning feels like slogging through responsibilities. Like, but again, you can do something and you can rush and frenzy, or you can just enjoy it. You could put on a podcast, you could just fold your laundry, or maybe it's just silent. Maybe you just give yourself some space to just process what's coming up. Like, I would just really encourage, any way you can, try easy, try slower. If you have a free moment of time, rather than filling it right away, allow yourself to find those gaps of inspiration and those gaps of creativity, because you can really find some genuine genius ideas emerge. So the evening is nice. We have a trine to Neptune, so it's a little dreamy. Could be great for like a date night, like someone that you really want to go deep with. And then the Scorpio moon sextiles Pluto and Capricorn. So great for a date night, and then interrogate them. Just kidding. Don't interrogate them, but ask them some deep questions. And then the moon enters Sagittarius on Sunday. And we have the Cancer sun sextile Uranus and Taurus. And really with this, it's an opportunity aspect. But what I encourage you to do is really embrace those moments of the in-between. Embrace those moments of going slow. Embrace those moments of being bored, because there's this energy this week where it can bring to the surface some really fascinating bits of genius. It can bring to the surface some creative ideas. Like, there is this whole book about it. I'm gonna put the cover here. Again, not a booktuber, but I'm just gonna summarize what I got from this book, written by a Virgo rising, just saying, love her. She has unfortunately passed away, R.I.P. Gil Edwards, but her writing really speaks to me. I love this book. I found it randomly in one of those little free libraries, and I truly feel like I was meant to read it. I reread it maybe once a year. But when she talks about soft time, she talks about when you are so structured, which again, sometimes we need that. Sometimes we need some structure. Thank you, Saturn retrograde. Bring that to the surface. Thank you. Sometimes we do need structure. But also, if we're like too structured or too rushed, our thoughts and our ideas can sort of be like staccato, like it's little rushes, because, you know, we're burnt out. We kind of fit our creativity into little chunks of time. If we allow ourselves soft time, we have a little bit more time to like moodle, to just daydream, and we see the world differently. We have new ideas. Our brain, guys, I'm gonna butcher this, but there's something different about the state of our brain that we go to when we are doing something that doesn't take our full attention, that we're able to more deeply contemplate the big picture as well as have new ideas. So my challenge for you with Sunday is moodle. I want you to dilly-dally. I want you to frolic. I want you to do something that is not productive. I want you to look at the clouds. I want you to do something, and I want you to just enjoy it. I want you to just open yourself up to some new ways of seeing the world, some new ways of creating, whatever comes to the surface for you. And the moon enters Sagittarius early that morning at about 1:34. So this is a time for optimism, big picture, expansiveness, especially with it trining Jupiter in Aries. This is the time to have fun, to return to the big picture of your world, to know that you are worthy of having these spaces of moodling, to be able to come back to the big picture and to feel invigorated by being the person that you are. So today's Magic Monday mantra of the week is not my own words, but I read this and I really felt like it reflected this week's astrology. So the quote is, "Slow living is not about living your life in slow motion. It's about doing everything at the right speed and pacing instead of rushing. By that same logic, slow living is not about losing time by going slowly. It's about gaining time by doing things that are most important to you." That is by Kaylee Dre, who is a stylist. So shout out Kaylee for that little inspo. Seriously, this week, guys, go slow, try easy. If you notice you're feeling like really stressed and burnt out, like see if you can just find some pockets to move a little bit slower. There will be parts of you that'll fight and be like, you're wasting time, but know that it's your time to waste. Time is our most valuable resource, and it's your time to use and expend how it is that you see fit. So for some of you, you may choose to run, and for some of you, maybe shake things up and choose a walk and see if you have any new ideas when you're in that slow time, or if you feel a little bit more mindful about the journey that you are on. And I just want to make it clear, I'm not anti-run with any of this. I just thought it was a great example of this week's astrology. So I'm sending you all so much love. Please let me know what resonated below. If you're watching this beginning of the week or the end of the week, my Instagram handle is @HaleyCometAstrology. My TikTok is the same. Go make yourself a fun little pink drink. I'm telling you, life feels better when you have a pink drink in hand. Until we meet again, drink lots of water or pink drink and stay magical.